Since the NHL season has been in full swing for nearly a month now, we as fans have been given a decent glimpse into what's ahead. So far, we've seen many sweet surprises, such as the Boston Bruins remaining elite, the Red Wings going on a tear, and Jonathan Quick aging like fine wine. However, on the flip side of things, within the small sample size of games played, there's been some major disappointments as well. In this video, we're going to go over several players that have been having a terrible start to the current campaign. And with that, here are 7 NHL players having their worst season yet. Most of us can recall back in 2021, when Trevor Zegras wowed hockey fans with an impressive Michigan-style assist to Sonny Milano against the Buffalo Sabres. While it tended to bring out the more old-fashioned takes from John Tortorella and others, it did at least give Zegras the spotlight, and further propelled him in the direction of being a prime marketing tool for the NHL. From making the NHL 23 cover to getting to participate in the All-Star Game of 2022, Zegras has become known more for flair than anything else. Unfortunately though, lately he's drawn eyes for other reasons entirely. After recording a decent 65 points and 81 games played last campaign, Zegras, following 10 games played, has only managed a single goal and assist throughout. While yes, it's still early, it hasn't been just NHL fans and media taking notice, but also the Ducks head coach, Greg Cronin. Cronin made the choice to bench the forward in a game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't care who you are or how many points you put up, you're not immune to being glued to the bench, Cronin said. This caused Zegras to only play 12 minutes, something that he's done only on one other occasion since Halloween of 2021. While some players on this list are playing for struggling teams, the Ducks aren't exactly going for the draft lottery anymore. If the playoffs were to start today, they would be a definite wildcard team. Players such as Frank Vatrano and Troy Terry, for example, have been thriving. Vatrano has potted 9 goals in 10 games, for instance. Luckily for Zegras, he still has plenty of time to get back on track and prove the doubters wrong by bouncing back. When Torrey Krug initially made his way to the Show Me State, it was seen as a move in the right direction for the Blues. Krug had made a name for himself as an excellent power play specialist for the B. Reason being, he recorded 25 or more power play points on 3 different occasions, while on the man advantage for Beantown. However, saying things haven't went as planned for Krug in St. Louis is an understatement. For the first time, Krug played under 19 minutes on average for the Blues, while only recording 32 points. To put it into perspective just a little on how much of a decline this was for the defenseman, he had 30 points on the man advantage alone for the 2018-19 campaign. Due to this fact and more, GM Doug Armstrong made the choice to try and trade Krug to the Philadelphia Flyers last offseason, and in response, Krug used his no-trade clause to block the transaction. Therefore, it's understandable as to why things may have felt slightly awkward for Krug as he joined his team for training camp in September. Even still, it's been a challenging start for Krug thus far, as Krug, after playing in 8 games on the season, has yet to score a single point. Yes, it's definitely still early, but considering the standard that Krug has set for himself, the defenseman has a long way to go. When Blake Wheeler joined the Blue Shirts over the summer, it seemed like a win-win for both parties involved. After spending over a decade with Winnipeg and getting his captaincy stripped away, Wheeler seemed ready to embark on a new chapter, as he was signed to a league minimum low-risk deal. Wheeler would finally get to be just a contributor without the responsibilities. The Rangers are also an up-and-coming team in the middle of a bustling city. Therefore, there were plenty of pros for the forward that likely drew him in. On the other hand, GM Chris Drury knew he was getting a seasoned vet that could offer some valuable mentorship at a very small cost. Unfortunately though, the team is now 10 games in, and Wheeler is still looking for his first point of the season. While he is 37 years of age and in the twilight of his career, considering that he notched 55 points in 71 games played last campaign, says that he still has more to give. It's also important to note that Wheeler has seen his minutes cut and has been playing on average 11 a game for the first time in his NHL career. For most of us in the hockey world looking in, the major problem last season for Calgary seemed to be former head coach Daryl Sutter. Sutter, who was known for routinely using the media as an outlet for humiliating his own players, seemed to possess a rigid and old-fashioned style of doing things. At the time last campaign, it was easy to place the blame on Sutter's shoulders. From names such as Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm, multiple players were refusing to stay in Alberta. After missing the playoffs, the decision was made to fire Sutter in an effort to try and pick up the pieces. Brad Treliving was also replaced by current GM Craig Conroy. Therefore, from the outside looking in, there were plenty of reasons why one would be expecting the Flames to take a step forward this time around. However, that's exactly the opposite of what's been going down in Calgary. Currently, second from the bottom in the league, the Flames have only 2 wins thus far on the season. And unsurprisingly, the team's top players have been severely underperforming. Jonathan Huberdeau, for instance, has 5 points after 10 games played on the season. Another player that's been off to a sluggish start is 2-time 32-goal scorer Nazem Kadri, with a single goal and 3 assists thus far. Another important note here is that Kadri is also sporting his worst shooting percentage ever at 3.3 out of his entire career. Even though he was able to notch a goal in the Heritage Classic, Kadri has been nothing but a letdown for the Flames so far. When the Seattle Kraken were introduced as the 32nd NHL team, expectations weren't sky high. This was mainly due to the fact that GM Ron Francis tended to take a more cautious approach to building his team. Therefore, when Seattle failed to make the playoffs in the team's inaugural campaign, well, most weren't overly shocked. However, Seattle managed to surprise spectators by not only making the postseason last spring, but also defeating the defending Stanley Cup champs, the Colorado Avalanche. One could say that a key contributor to the Kraken's success was a stellar performance from rookie Matty Beniers. As a forward, was able to put up an impressive 57 points after 80 games played, with 27 of those being goals. This not only awarded him the Calder, but it also helped propel the Kraken to the team's first playoff berth. Unfortunately though, Beniers hasn't seemed like the same player so far in this season. After 11 games under his belt, Beniers has only been able to muster up 3 assists throughout. 2 of his helpers have been on the man advantage, therefore he's only notched a single point so far at even strength. He's also just 1 away from being the league's worst when it comes to the plus-minus stat. Now obviously it's not the most important stat to worry about, but considering that he's tied with Jonathan Huberdeau for the 2nd worst league-wide, well, it's definitely cause for concern. Hopefully, Beniers will be able to turn things around, considering that I have a feeling that will be a main contributor in the Kraken's overall success. Similarly to the Seattle Kraken, things haven't went as planned for the Washington Capitals. For one, longtime Cap Nicklas Backstrom has decided to take a leave of absence from hockey due to health reasons. Secondly, the players that are still in the lineup, such as Anthony Mantha, Alex Ovechkin, and most importantly TJ Oshie, have all had slow starts thus far. Oshie, who initially worked out perfectly for Washington, brought an energy and physical presence that helped aid the team in capturing its first Stanley Cup. Last season was a bit of a slower one production-wise for the forward, as he recorded 35 points in 51 games played. However, after his first 9 games on the season, currently, one could say that Oshie has been abysmal as far as the score sheet is concerned. Outside of 1 assist, Oshie has been completely pointless. Even more troublingly, if he continues at this pace, he'll finish out the 2023-24 campaign with only 9 points to his name. Now, at 36 years of age, yes, Oshie is and has been slowing down, but many, myself included, didn't expect it to be this bad. While it's hard to feel optimistic about the Caps at the moment, it's highly possible that once Ovechkin and other key players get going, it could help Oshie to do the same. For as long as I can remember, being a hockey fan, the net has always been a constant weakness for the Edmonton Oilers. Sure, there was Mike Smith, who was a beast at times. However, he was also largely inconsistent between the pipes. Ilya Bryzgalov, Cam Talbot, Mikko Koskinen, the list has went on, but no one has truly been able to carve out their position as the number one guy. Last offseason, it was Jack Campbell that GM Ken Holland decided to look to as potentially being the starting netminder. At least that's how he paid him anyways. When Campbell began to struggle in the crease, Stuart Skinner was called upon to do damage control. Skinner held down the fort for the Oil with ease throughout the 50 contests he played in, as he sported an impressive .914 save percentage and a 2.75 goals against average. However, his start this season has been a sheer contrast in comparison. With 6 games now behind him, Skinner is sporting a 1-3-1 record, along with a .861 save percentage. His goals against average has also went downhill, that currently sits at a 3.62. Considering the fact that Campbell hasn't been the most stable force in net either, Edmonton desperately needs Skinner to find his game before it's too late for redemption. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed yet, I'd like to invite you to. For those of you that would like to support me in another way and stay hydrated at the same time, consider shopping with Liquid IV. With products for sleep, immunity, and more, Liquid IV has a proven formula that hydrates you better than water can. If you use my code AlyssaHope in all caps, you can receive 20% off your purchase and free shipping. Simply click the link below to get started. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.